Welcome to the HiRSE-Seminar series on research software engineering in Helmholtz and beyond.
Thank you very much, Claire, for the introduction and also for the invitation to be here and give a talk about CodeRefinery. So I was just told that I have a lot of time for this, so I will try to hopefully take it a little bit slower than I usually do with these kind of presentations. And I'm going to tell you a bit about CodeRefinery, who we are, what we do, how you can benefit from what we do, and maybe I go actually to the second slide already. How you can engage with also the things that we do and contribute and benefit from what we have. So I'm very happy to see also some familiar names here in the call. So you probably also know about this problem that we still have. So we have a lot of researchers that for some reason write code for their research, but often lack the formal training in that. So they maybe visit a carpentry's course or find some online resources about how to actually write code in the language, in any like kind of programming language. But that's often it. And through that, collaboration on code can often be frustrating and also inefficient. And research code can also often be poorly documented and non-reproducible. And that's not the researcher's fault. Like there's so much on people's mind, so many things that they have to already take care of, like thinking about things that you maybe don't know about yet is then really hard. And these good coding practices, so everything around the actual programming, is also often not part of standard academic training. And I have a feeling it's getting better now, but at many universities it's still not there. And we often hear things like, yeah, it works on my machine. I have no idea why it doesn't work on your machine. I'm very sorry for that. But yeah, that's how it goes sometimes. And so CodeRefinery is one of many efforts I'm sure there are nowadays in helping with that. So we have started in 2016, and we are a community-driven and publicly funded project. We provide hands-on training in practical coding tools specifically for researchers. And we try to focus on good enough software engineering practices to improve the efficiency of researchers' work. Like I mentioned, researchers are often very busy with all the other stuff already on their mind. So with what we teach, we try to help them make this side task of programming a bit more efficient. And then we also have support for open science and fair software development. And we are often asked like, hey, but there is carpentries and so on. So how does CodeRefinery fit in with that? For that, we have this little triangle here in the bottom, where at least a few years ago, or especially when CodeRefinery started, it was so that carpentries has provided like the basics in data science, basics in programming. So that's the first course that people would do if they're thinking about writing code. And then once they have learned how to code or have learned all the practices around that, then it would be the time to go to a CodeRefinery workshop. And I will talk about what that is about in a later slide. So it would be on top of that. And on top of that would then be what, for example, my own organization, or also probably many of your organizations are offering as a specialist support. So going into high performance computing, more deeply into GPU programming, deep learning, machine learning, these kind of things. But we try to make it a little bit easier for people to get there with the CodeRefinery workshops. And I mentioned we're not the only ones doing these kind of things. There is the Universe HPC project, Digital Research Academy, the Intersect project, SureSoft, and probably many more that are driving similar efforts here. And for CodeRefinery, you can see here in the bottom all the logos of the partners that are involved in the project. So we have some funding from the Nordic infrastructure collaboration, but then the main project and the people working in the project are provided in kind by their organization. So also for me, CSC is paying my working time, and I can put that partly at least into CodeRefinery, into the workshops, into lesson development, into coordination and community management in my case. So we have all these partners, and we have to collaborate here across funding borders. So we are all in the Nordics because the project started as a project for the Nordic infrastructure collaboration. But it's still quite a wide area geographically and culturally to cover. And sometimes that can, looking at this project can be a little bit like being in this airport controlling tower, looking what different partners are doing with training, and especially also with the CodeRefinery workshop itself. You can see here on the right side, that's a picture of our directors set up for the workshop with multiple screens and multiple windows open and looking at everything. So it's quite the coordination effort to bring it all together. So what do we actually teach? We call it practical skills for researchers, and that are really helpful for researchers when they already know how to code. But it's also a starting point for research software engineers. So we also see it a bit as, like you can see here in the bottom, or what that little diagram should tell, like we have the researchers, and the researcher can go into many different directions, and one of them is to become a researcher who codes. And then one may find, for example, a CodeRefinery workshop, and from there, again, you can go into many different directions, and one of them might be to get deeper into research software engineering. So we also try to tell about this, that this is an actual career path for people that enjoy doing this kind of stuff that we're teaching also in the CodeRefinery workshops. And here on these slides, you have mentioned the different topics that are part of our main workshop. So we have it usually twice a year, free and open for all. And it's spread over 6 half days. So three and 3 days, so over 2 weeks. And in the first week, we focus completely on Git and version control. It starts with the basics on how a researcher might encounter Git in their work, and then goes to collaborative version control. And then in the second week, we have a mixture of different tools and techniques that we think is very interesting for people to at least know about, if not use for their researcher life. So we have reproducible research, where we talk about environments, containers, and in general reproducible research and what that means. We have collaborative coding or social coding, where we talk about licenses, efficient coding techniques like, for example, modular code development, how to write documentation that goes also beyond a README if it's needed, and what kind of tools there are and how they can be used to create really nice looking documentation, automated testing and testing in general, and then also about open science and the FAIR principles. And all our lesson materials is always available and is also suitable for self-learning to go through by yourself. There's a lot of exercises in there, and they all have also solutions. And along with that, we also provide installation instructions, because we want to get people ready to apply those tools right away for their research after the workshop. So we encourage them to install the tools on their own machines. And yeah, the materials are also ready to reuse. And our workshops, so these 2 workshops a year that we're currently offering, we stream them nowadays. So we have always 2 instructors per lessons. They are talking about the lesson material, let's say Git, and they will be streamed out to everyone, and everyone could watch that. No one would have to even register for the course, because we think, like, when we're anyway doing this, why not open it up for everyone? So anyone everywhere could watch it. And then if you register to the CodeRefinery workshop, then you get a note, a link to our collaborative notes, which lets you interact with the instructors and also with the rest of the team behind the scenes. So you can join as individual learners. You can also meet with friends online or in person and watch the stream together and then do the exercises together and have interaction also going on with your peers and maybe with one person who knows already at least a little bit about the topics that we're teaching. So we also call it sometimes this reverse hybrid. So we have some local classrooms that are watching the stream together and then have this interaction going, which works very nicely in the week 1 of the workshops when it's about Git. Then we also have a lot of these exercises and discussions going on. Sometimes we do them completely in the notes. Sometimes we let people in the classrooms, for example, discuss among themselves and everyone else can discuss in the notes. That depends really on the instructors and how they want to do it. And that way we hope that also people in different organizations would get more into contact with people that they have available at their institutions for supporting scientific computing. Because these people here in the slides, I've indicated them with these little goggles on. They are often research software engineers or IT support or people that just enjoy helping their colleagues with scientific computing. And so there can be like this interaction between the researchers and these support people, but then also the interaction between these complete rooms or the individuals with the instructors and the CodeRefinery team. And then our workshops are also beginner friendly. So we don't expect them to have any prior experience with the tools that we teach. We do have noticed, though, that someone who is completely new to programming might not get that much out of the workshop other than, oh yeah, this is something I should look into in the future. But it helps if they actually have run into problems with sending files around via email, for example, to get then also behind the idea of why version control might be an interesting topic to look into. I mentioned the collaborative notes. We use a HedgeDoc instance that we host at Aalto University here in Finland. And that way we can have this interaction with the instructors on stream. It is anonymous. No one has to log in to use the document. It runs in parallel with the workshop. That can be at times quite overwhelming, but also participants do not have to use it. They can also like let it be for the time of the workshop and then look at it later. And it's therefore also asynchronous. And it's quite fun to see that with these big workshops, we have new questions coming in every 1 to 2 minutes. So it's quite the team effort behind the scenes and also the effort of actually some participants to answer each other's questions or to have discussions going when there is a question that doesn't have one true answer. And we also use it for the exercise sessions. For example, here shown in this screenshot. So we show what is the exercise that we are doing at the moment. We are asking how it's going, and we ask them to put a little O here if they're done or if they have major problems, so that also the instructor knows how it's going, maybe can give a little bit more time or can pick up a certain thing after if you see that everyone had some problems. And we also publish these Q&A documents after each workshops, and there is a link here where you can see such example. This is also the place where we collect feedback after each workshop day. And we try to implement that feedback also for already the next day, but latest for the next workshop. And a lot of issues on our lesson materials come from that feedback. But then we don't only do workshops. So the workshops are our main thing. That was the main thing that was identified as missing when CodeRefinery started. But now we're also a community. And Claire mentioned I'm community manager for the CodeRefinery project, and I'm currently doing a course on community management. And it's super interesting to identify what is actually the community Is it defined by the chat? Is it defined by who is interacting with us, or what it is? I don't have an answer yet to that. I think the chat is a good starting point to look at what the community actually is and what we do, but it's maybe not everything. So we do these huge workshops together. They are mainly driven by the team, so the people that are the in-kind contribution to the project from the organizations. But then we also often have visitor instructors, or also instructors that are once in a while teaching with us just because they enjoy the process. And also for this workshop, we have at least one new instructor with us who is not directly a partner in the project. And through the co-teaching, we think that it's a quite nice way to onboard also people that are especially new to teaching in general, because you don't have to prepare for a lesson by yourself. The lesson material is already there, and you have a person with you who can catch up with everything else, or if something got forgotten, the other person can pick that up. So you're not alone, and it's maybe a little bit less scary that way. I mentioned we have a chat on Zulip, and we also encourage, for example, our participants of the workshop to join the Zulip chat after the workshop if they come up with any questions. So we have a help channel there. Also, the rest of the community is discussing a lot there. And then we have a CodeRefinery channel. We have a Nordic RSE channel who hang out in the same chat. And it's also the place where we look at other teaching duties of the partners, or of people hanging out in the chat, let's say. Because apart from the CodeRefinery workshop itself, we also once in a while do other workshops, for example, covering high performance computing. Last year, we had a first version of a course called Tools and Techniques for HPC. That was something that multiple partners had identified as like something that doesn't exist yet. In that sense, it was like what comes after the introduction to HPC, how when the researchers are wondering, like, how do I now do my daily work with the supercomputer? And that was what that course was about, and it was a collaboration between many partners in the CodeRefinery community. And then we also work together on teaching other workshops. Like if someone has a workshop and someone in the community has the expertise to fill in, to support that, that happens once in a while. And then also outreach, if someone has these bigger workshops to advertise for others that might also be interesting in other countries, in other centers, or so on. We also support each other there. And then we have the open learning materials. So also for these specialized workshops, they are all available. You can find them, for example, from our website. And you're very free to use them, to modify them for your use case, and also to contribute. So once in a while, we also have people just contributing to the lesson material, even if they're not teaching with us. It's very nice. So how you can benefit? Well, I wrote here, joining is easier than organizing alone. So CodeRefinery exists. The workshops are already free and there for everyone. We try to find a time that fits many time zones, at least in Europe. It might be a bit early for the UK and maybe over the wrong lunchtime in Finland, but it fits. So you can join a workshop as a learner or as an observer. You can bring your own team and learn together. And that can be, for example, by booking a classroom and watching the stream together, doing the exercises together, or meeting online, or just saying, hey, we all watch it by ourselves and maybe we have a discussion round after that. You can also host a local classroom for others to learn together. So we have that, for example, this year, first time at KIT in Karlsruhe, that we have a classroom there with a helper who will guide the learners through the stream and through the exercises. We also have one in Finland this year. Or then you can use the CodeRefinery materials for your own training. how you can contribute. If you think this is cool, I would like to help, I don't know, adding a new programming languages to our examples, or I know some super good resources here and there that would fit. Please contribute. You can also teach with us, so you can become a co-instructor yourself. We are very happy and open to welcome and onboard you. Maybe not for the upcoming workshop that's already in March. I will have a slide about that later, but we will definitely have another one around September, probably this year, and then next year and the year after, and so on. You can contribute to lesson materials. Like I said, improving, expanding the lesson content that we have there. We also have once in a while have open house sessions about that, where we then meet and discuss like what could be done, what are the issues open on the different lessons, and how can we improve. If you are joining the workshop as anything or look through the materials, please provide us feedback, like if there's anything that is especially wrong, but also if there's something that's just weird or maybe written a little bit unclearly or something. We're very happy to hear about that, and you don't have to even fix it yourself. We are also very happy about like just opening issues and letting us know about something. I guess after so many years working with these materials, we might become a little bit blind to some of the expressions that we have just used in forever. Of course, the lessons also update, and for example, our Git lessons have gotten a huge update last year. But still, like it's good to have some outside feedback as well. And then also, yeah, please run your own trainings if you and use some of the materials and share what you have learned from that. We had some very interesting discussions coming from these things, and also some of the lessons update happened because of this kind of knowledge. Some of the partners also once in a while run their own in-person workshops with the CodeRefinery materials, for example. So we don't only do these large online ones as well. But up till now, we have done 10 of these larger online ones. I think in the beginning we called them Mega CodeRefinery, and it was a really big dream of some of the community to do this. And I think for the current workshop, we are at around 150 registrations. So it's quite nice to see that also people in France, for example, get to know about the workshops and can make use of it. We also have had about 28 in-person workshops. And this is where it all started. So they were originally meant for in-person, about 20 people per workshop. But nowadays we reach over 500 people per year about with the main CodeRefinery workshop, and also the other workshops are included here. We have over 30 different instructors and speakers that have helped us with these workshops, and also over 100 helpers and exercise leaders or team leaders, now how we nowadays call them. And here in the bottom are just two randomly, or more or less randomly picked feedbacks that we have gotten. So we also run a long-term feedback survey, and I will show a few slides about that in the upcoming slides. But yeah, like that one in the bottom, I write my codes now in such a way that the person who will be taking over my job would have less time to figuring out what is going on. And in many cases, we're also seeing like the next person coming is often you yourself. So it's also making it easier for yourself coming back to something that maybe had to rest for a while. So this workshop survey, so I can tell of course a lot about this, but this is now actual numbers from the post-workshop survey that we ran in 2024, and that was sent out to workshop participants from 2022 and 2023, and we got 129 answers. There we asked a few questions like, did this actually save you any time? So you see that at least hours are saved by many, as much as they could estimate that. Of course, this is always a bit difficult to estimate, but it's nice to see that at least it seems like there's some time saved by using the tools and techniques we teach. Is your code more reusable or not more reusable. And also most of the participants here said that it is now more reusable. Collaboration becomes easier through knowing these tools and knowing how to use them. And this one is very nice, that it's apparently not only the CodeRefinery workshop participants that benefit from that, but also their colleagues and friends. So many said that they are also introducing others to the practices that they have learned in the workshops. And they were also quite likely to recommend the workshop to others, which of course is nice to see. So with that, I would like to invite you to get involved in any way that suits you. So we are now in May, actually starting our 4th phase. And these phases are just based on the funding from the Nordic Infrastructure Collaboration. And we are very open for like having you with us as co-instructor to discuss also new lessons, to discuss the lesson material that we already have, maybe lesson material that you already have. Maybe there's some gaps that we could fill together. And we have a website where you can find all information and more about the project and about what we do. Also, our lesson materials are linked from there, and also the lesson materials that is not the main workshop, but is somewhat related because people from the community have been involved in teaching these other workshops. We have a newsletter. We also have a well, I can't say weekly anymore, neither bi-weekly, a randomly timed chat digest newsletter. So if the chat itself is too busy to follow, then we also have a digest of that coming once in a while to email. The newsletter, we share the bigger news like upcoming workshops and possibilities to get involved and so on. We have a blog where we write about our open house sessions, about how the workshops going, or also lessons learned from the workshops, or one of the bigger ones was also like the Git lesson rewrite, for example. Why did we do it? What was the feedback that kind of told us to do that? Register for an upcoming workshop. I have a site coming up about that. We also have an ambassador program. So we noticed that there is people who are happy to kind of forward information about the workshops to their communities. And we wanted to give them a way to stay in contact and also get feedback from there. What are the things that we could do differently to support more communities? Our chat, we also have all the social media accounts where we try to well, publish everything that's going on, and a support email address. The next CodeRefinery workshop is now coming up in the end of March, and the registration is open. So please feel free to join or send people to come. It's for free and online. And like I said, we have this in-person classroom, for example, at KIT in Karlsruhe. And also that is still possible. If you have like your own class that you would like to bring, then we can still figure that out, how to best do that. And then thank you, Claire, for mentioning it already, but I wanted to also mention it again. So many of the CodeRefinery community are also involved in Nordic HiRSE, or at least following Nordic HiRSE. And we have our conference coming up, the second actually in-person conference ever of the Nordic HiRSE community in May 20th to 21st in Gothenburg in Sweden, a beautiful place. And registration and also abstract submission are open. I think abstract submission closes now middle of March next week, I think. And you're very welcome to join and maybe tell us something about what's happening in Germany. Also, we are very happy to hear about that. And I put the link to these slides also in the chat, so it's also here, and some credits and license for these slides. Thank you very much for your attention, and I hope that was somehow informative and interesting to you. And I'm very happy to hear your questions.
Thank you for watching our seminar. Please check out the slides on Zenodo linked below and see you next time.